Welcome back, everybody, to the Ball and Breakfast podcast. I'm Patrick alongside Wayne here for a new rendition. Promise I'm not wearing hospital scrubs. This is just a blue athletic shirt. But in any case, glad to have you guys back. Thanks for all the support, for following. We appreciate the subscriptions, especially on YouTube. Any new follows on Instagram is always helpful for us. If you'd like to leave any comments or DMs for us, we'll always look at them. Try to react to what's important to you guys and, definitely go from there. If you're catching us on audio, we're on Spotify, Apple, Google. You can really catch us anywhere. So, follow along with us, and we definitely appreciate your support. We got a laundry list of stuff to cover today. Wayne, I think we'll just kick it off with the first topic. We'll go right into the MLB. We had a wild card weekend, and it's now moving right into the Divisional Series, fast and furious. Do you have any initial thoughts or takeaways from the series you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say my sympathies to all my Mariners fans out there. That was such a heartbreaking loss. And at the same time, that is exciting playoff baseball right there with Alvarez hitting that walk-off homer in the ninth. So, I know there's a lot of anger and frustration to service putting Robbie Ray in there, who's been struggling a little bit, against a home run hitter like with Alvarez. But you know what? Crazy things happen in October. So who knows what would happen if maybe Robbie Ray, maybe he just pitched a little bit, fastball went a little bit faster, slider had a little bit more grip to it, and a little bit more break to it. So, but yeah, that's playoff baseball for you. So sympathies to the Mariners fans who are all watching this. So,
I mean, absolutely brutal. I want to, I think the easy thing to do right now is just look at, Robbie Ray and just be like, man, like you're the GOAT here. You're the scapegoat for all this, all the mess that came during the game. To me, I think that's one of those situations, one of those kind of hits and, one of those kind of rallies over the last two innings by the Astros where it doesn't even matter who's on the mound. It's almost like that caving nervousness feeling that comes over a team when, they see a bull, charging at them. And it's like, they can do whatever they want to try to, dodge the situation. But, no pun intended with your hat on right now, Wayne. But yeah, they definitely got the horns. And Alvarez took him deep. And I mean, that was a no doubter. That was like a 400, plus speed blast to right center. He got every single piece of that off a lefty. Sewell put a couple guys on base to kick off the ninth, could have easily closed the door. Jeremy Pena, rookie, could have thrown him some more junk. Instead, he got a ball over the plate that Pena could put up the middle for a base hit, extend the inning, extend the confidence that was coming out of the Astros dugout. I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster when they've got their best hitter coming up in that spot. And, it sucks. It sucks. It would suck to be a Mariners fan for sure, to come this far and to have, just a lead like that, 7-3, you got them on the ropes a little bit in game one. You could really start to, impose your will as the series goes on. But, man, one guy said it on air. I can't remember the analyst, but he's like, yeah. Oh, it was Todd Frazier this morning on Get Up, but he basically said, and the Astros won the series. And the second he said that, I'm like, I know exactly. I have that exact feeling, and I picked the M's, and so did you. And it's like, we see the energy coming out of this team. We see, the confidence they were playing with in Toronto on the road, and man, and to start the game, they controlled that game, and man, what a backbreaker.
Yeah, that's just one of those heartbreaking losses, really, that it's hard to come back from, So like if they can, that'll be amazing. That's a lot of fortitude. I think that's a lot of. It'll go to show like their whole mental toughness, I think, with Scott Service kind of just being like a good manager and just like, hey, that things happen. That was a mistake, but at the end of the day, like, we're still a team. If he can rally the troops and move forth on that's great managing. But I think I've seen like that's like all I've been seeing, at least on Twitter and everything. All the M's fans just being like, yeah, this series is over. I feel like and it's like it's interesting because with they had Verlander. Verlander. Like he was they got past him, and they were able to actually like put some runs on him there. So it was just the bullpen just coughed it up in the end of the day there. So, but Verlander, if you can get past Verlander and if the Mariners bullpen can tighten up a little bit there, then this series ought to be a lot more competitive than what I think a lot of Mariners fans are feeling right now. So.
Yeah, and I just wanted to look it up real quick to see platoon splits for Alvarez, just to think was bringing in the lefty in that situation the right move. It's debatable. I mean, for his career, he's batting .321 against lefties with a .412 OBP, .586 slugging. I mean, not to mention against righties, he's batting .299 with a .404 and has more power from the right, versus a right-handed pitcher. So it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It doesn't really matter who you bring in that situation. It's about, who Scott Service thought would give him the best chance at punching him out or getting him out of that spot. And, who better than the AL Cy Young of last year? And, we've noted his struggles. You have, Wayne. It's just I really don't think it matters. I mean, you can look at analytics all day in that situation position, but he knows his pitchers best. And it's just too bad.
Yeah, no, it's like I think I remember even reading some blog posts about it, some Twitter posts about it too, just of it'd be actually nice to have Robbie Ray in the bullpen, probably having that former Cy Young winner, he just won last year, right? And you can never knock on him for lacking stuff. I think is his whole thing. He definitely can strike people out, and usually pitchers like that favor pretty well going to the bullpen. Especially for the playoffs, where power rules in a way. So I can't knock Scott Service for doing that. I know a lot of people did, but it was just one of those baseball moments that it just sucked, I think, for Mariners fans.
Definitely. I guess another one that kind of sucked for some other fans. I mean, the Atlanta Braves hosting the Phillies and bringing Max Fried to the mound. It's got to feel like a good, idea, good feeling in game one at home, going up against Ranger Suarez, who's probably, Philly's third, maybe fourth best starter. I mean, good enough, but, I guess going on the road, the Phillies got off to a pretty hot start, started putting runs up in the first inning with 2 outs, got a pair, and then kind of continued on the early, portions of the game. And, knocked Max Fried out pretty early, probably after, I believe it was 3 or 4 innings. And I mean, there was one counter punch from Travis Darnaud early in the game with a home run, and just multiple innings of bases loaded and, just leaving guys on base. And, I kind of off the bat was a little hesitant about, picking the Phillies. I'm still not there. I still feel pretty good about the Braves, but in the same sense, a great road win for the Phillies to kick off the series.
Yeah, no, it was a great row win. Bryce Harper is really good at baseball, so I think that's the biggest thing, that I saw here. But I do think that we are shooting on Wednesday, October 12th, and they are playing right now. So I do believe that the Braves are up. So they got to Zach Ware, it looks like. So I think initially first game, hey, crazy stuff happens. If this is the Phillies' best punch going forth, then I think as a Braves fan, it's okay, that sucked that we didn't win the first game, but I think the rest of this series seems pretty good. The Braves definitely are not short of pitching, so I think that they can compete with the bats of the Phillies over the course of a longer series here. It just so happened, it just wasn't Max Fried's best night.
I think one telling thing too, just kind of moving into this, game 2 versus game 1 is how a team finishes the game. With the Braves hitting a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th, that's one of those things that signals confidence for the next game. You go out with a punch, even if you lost the game, I feel like that's a good way to kind of transition to the next one, get your team, ready to go momentum wise. And, it clearly translated into tonight. If they don't bring in Ryan Helsley, off waivers from the Cardinals, then, they're probably going to be tied up after, we're done shooting.
Yeah, I know for sure. Yeah, I think the Braves, they're just too good of a team just to kind of let this take them away here. And yeah, they did rally in the 9th, which I think is great. Shows great heart for, a team that won World Series last year. And, I think they're looking to probably repeat this year.
Any other thoughts from the other games?
I mean, Yankees are going to Yankee. I know we both picked the Guardians there, but I mean, obviously, this was a hard. I think this out of all the games in this series, this is probably going to be the hardest one for the Guardians to win, just because Garrett Cole is just one of the best pitchers in baseball, and you know, if there's anybody else in the rotation, I mean, they have solid pitching. I think has been the Yankees' whole thing. I think it's just their bullpen. So you know, if they can get to the starting pitching, if the Guardians can get to the starting pitching of the Yankees going forth in this series, then you know I think that shows just great options going forth. But that's a big if, you know, with the pitching and how they've been performing, you know, of late and this season. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think much of it just yet. I mean, Bieber going in game 2 versus Nestor Cortez, who had an amazing first half and maybe a less great second half. I think this is where the Guardians, you know, even it up tomorrow. I feel good about them still. So just going to hold my thoughts and hold my breath for the time being. Anything else? Dodgers, Padres, any reactions at the start?
I mean, it's hard for for me to be pulling for the Padres. You know, it's this Dodger team there's a reason why they won the most games in baseball, one of the most games, you know, ever. So, and yeah, with the Padres, I think they might be down, or I think they're down right now. So if they can pull off a game or two, I think that'll be great for them. But it's hard for me to be going against the Dodgers, I think, for this series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say a landslide or anything, but, you know, honestly, looking up that stat of, you know, what the season series was, because all I'd hear all year is, oh, you know, the Padres are going to LA, like they own them. And, you know, to win 14 of 19 against them over the season. And I know those games don't technically count for the real thing, but, you know, they've had a mental advantage on them for a couple of years, including, you know, past playoff series too. I think during the pandemic, they lined up in the first round and then, you know, Dodgers knocked them out. And again, the Dodgers have a great rotation too. I mean, I know the Padres bring 3 to 4 really good starters, you know, to the mound. But so the Dodgers, you know, it's like they're going to come with Urias, Kershaw, you know, Gonsolin, Tyler Anderson if they need to. You know, they got other stuff going on in the pen, other starters that probably won't get a chance to start. It's going to be a tough one, and they've got, you know, one of the best lineups in baseball too, and they've been there and done it. They feel experienced and they're still hungry because they haven't won one in, you know, what has it been, a couple seasons now. So they'll be definitely motivated to go after the title.
Yeah, and it's bottom of the third. I'm looking right now, bottom of the third, tied 3-3 for game 2 here, Dodgers and Padres. So, but yeah, it'll be a competitive series, I think. But yeah, I'm still, I think, leading with the Dodgers here.
Fair enough. You know, transitioning on, we'll stay in California. We'll move from Los Angeles up to the Bay Area, where there was a huge incident that happened on a basketball court at practice between 2 Warriors. You guys all know Draymond Green, Jordan Poole. You know, I guess according to the sources that were there, you know, there was you know, there's no lie that both these guys are going into free agency, you know, after the 2023 season. Basically, there's been kind of reports of rumblings in the locker room between, you know, both guys and other teammates involved about the contract, you know, situations, who's going to get extended, who's not. I think that kind of animosity is like translated over to the practice court. Apparently, when Poole and Green were going at it on scrimmages, there was a lot of foul calls, you know, by Poole onto Draymond Green. Basically, you know, Green was, you know, countering that by calling him a bitch, and Jordan Poole didn't like it. I think he was saying some other stuff, but essentially Draymond Green just kind of walked over and, you know, said, no, what's up? And he said something like, you know what it is. And I guess he was referring to, you know, who's going to get a contract extension. So, you know, Draymond kind of crowded his space. Poole gave him a shove. And then from there, you know, Draymond gave him a pretty, you know, vicious strike, apparently hit him in the jaw. Some people say he knocked him out. I have no idea, but, in any case, we've kind of heard all the, you know, the unpackaging of this about, you know, the video getting leaked, and, you know, Draymond after the facts apologized to Poole, his family, the team, everybody really. He's walking away from the situation for a while, you know, going to come back on his own terms, or when things are, you know, a little bit cleaner, you know, in the facility, on the team, et cetera. But Wayne, did you have any initial takes of this? What your kind of gut feeling is about who's right, who's wrong, where they go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting thing. I do like Steve Kerr's comments on this. I think he's handled this situation. I mean, I know some people have knocked on him for not disciplining Green enough or anything like that, but I think he's handled it as best as he can. He's stated that he's seen fights and he's been part of some well-known fights, with Jordan too, right? Getting punched in the face there. So out of all the people I think in the NBA today, like he's definitely like one person that can have a say in this conversation, and he's the coach. So I think his perspective, I think, sheds a lot of volume, I think, on this situation. So there's been he's said there's been dozens of fights on this team before. This one just got leaked. I think he's kind of more so angry internally at whoever the videographer was and whoever the team people were for not keeping things closer to the family or keeping it in house. So I think he's much more frustrated on that, and then how this thing's kind of blown up essentially. Because it definitely looks bad. So especially in today's social media driven world, people looking for the headlines and people looking for people to hate on and things like that. Then this definitely is a situation that does not look favorably for Draymond going forth. I do think was it Jordan Poole called him a triple single or something like that during practice too, which escalated it on top of all the contract talks as well. So I mean, if he really did say that, the good on Jordan Poole for that trolling comment in the way. So and then Jordan Poole had a pretty good preseason game. I think he scored like 25 and 5-5 or something like that. So it does appear though that Green is going to be playing against the Lakers in the opener, which is kind of nuts, right? Like with all this drama and everything. So it I guess it just goes to show, I think Skip Bayless actually brought up a good point. Is if they didn't win a championship last year, would this be something that is a discussion, or would he actually be suspended, not play the first game? That's I guess where my thought process is winning cures all, right? So that's where I'm maybe there is something towards that of if they didn't win the championship last year, would he still be even on the team? I know there's been he's just trying to make a thing to get traded to the Lakers or whatever. But looking at the Golden State Warriors though, I think in the future it's if they're gonna keep Steph Curry, keep Klay Thompson for the next 5 years, that's gonna be really difficult with all the young talent that they do have currently with Poole, with Wiseman, with Kuminga, right? That's definitely where it's are you gonna keep the Splash Brothers, or are you gonna keep Draymond, who admittedly, definitely for sure, he is an essential part to that team. He's the heart and soul, and I know when he got suspended for that one game, against the Cavs and LeBron, that's kind of when they lost it. So he definitely means a lot, I think, towards the Warriors. And this definitely just is not a good setup, I think, for his future. So
yeah. I mean, I think just by the reaction, what we saw in the footage. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they didn't give him a couple games, just to set a precedent. I mean, just to set a precedent that that won't be tolerated, especially when it goes on video like that. It's completely embarrassing for Jordan Poole, number one, but also for the organization as a whole, just in terms of what's going to get out there and how much media hoopla is going to be around it, which definitely has been there, and now they got to deal with that for a long period of time, probably throughout the season at certain points, unless everything can get squashed and they can ultimately move on. I think it'd be really hard for me if I was Jordan Poole. If I wasn't really expecting my quote unquote brother to kind of throw me one like that, even if there was a push, there was comments made and stuff like that, but Draymond Green's 32 and Jordan Poole's 23. I mean, that's a pretty wide age gap. And I know they're adults technically and, things like that. But, Draymond at this point, you're 32 years old. You got to I don't know, look yourself in the mirror a little bit and do some soul searching. Cause that's just some really unacceptable behavior, number one. But it's also just as a leader of the team, like he says, I mean, it's pretty ugly. There was a quote that he put out there that I thought was kind of patronizing too. I'm just going to read it. Draymond Green, apologized, apparently like admitted that he apologized to Jordan Poole, his family, the Golden State Warriors and everything else. And he goes, about Poole, my love is there. My love ain't going nowhere. I'll continue to support him and lead him. Green said, leading comes with a responsibility that I dropped the ball on. You have to rebuild the trust in that. And I just thought it was kind of weird, like him saying, I lead him. It's kind of like he still kind of sees himself in this like aura of like, I'm Draymond Green. I won, 4 titles with this team. And I'm not going to discredit him based on talent, but it's like, if I just got sucker punched in the face and, my whole image is out there is like, hey, you're the guy who got sucker punched. And now you got to go, back into that situation with Green, with the other guys. Everybody's got to face everybody else after getting kind of embarrassed like that. I mean, I'd be pretty pissed off, not going to lie. And then have somebody tell me like, oh yeah, and you're still going to lead me, like my savior. Thank you for shining the light on where I can walk and where I can go. It's kind of like, I think I'd just be so upset that if a contract extension was in the talks, I probably wouldn't want to have Draymond Green on a team I want to play for the next 5 years. But I think that writing is on the wall. The Warriors aren't yet talking to Draymond about an extension, and to be honest, like I will not dispute the contributions he's made to that franchise, that dynasty. He's obviously been like the core piece, like the Dennis Rodman, but even more so with the facilitation of the offense and things like that. But again, at 32, we kind of saw some traces of him losing a bit of a step in the finals. They still, happened to get over the hump. Was that because of Draymond or was it in spite of Draymond? Like that can be debated, but I just feel like I wouldn't be reaching out to do a max contract extension if, like you're saying, you got a wave of young talent that is coming and some old guys that are, definitely the reasons why they got all those chips. But in the same sense, it's like a guy like Clay, and he might be the next piece to go. And it's unfortunate, but you got to look at injury history. You got to look at what's projected forward. And it's sad, man. The Splash Brothers might come to an end at some point before careers are over, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah. And Wiggins too, like I forgot about him. It's like, one of these pieces are you can't pay everybody. Steph Curry is like one of the highest paid players in the entire NBA, and obviously the face of the franchise, so he's going to get a bulk of the money. But then, how's the rest of the money going to be distributed there? Obviously, it's like you have a player like Jordan Poole, who knows the system, has succeeded in the system and everything, versus trying to bring on some other scrubs from some other team and trying to kind of do this whole makeshift thing. But yeah, it's like, if they can keep the Splash Brothers, see what they can do about Wiggins, and then it's like, okay, how do we pay Kuminga? Hopefully he doesn't blow it out of the water completely, but is good enough. And then also like Wiseman, the same thing. It's like, again, there's so much talent on the scene that they're just gonna have to figure out how does everybody fall into this. And it's like, does Draymond like take like the vet minimum just to stay on the team? He's stated that he wants to become a billionaire and all that, from his ventures and stuff like that. It's going to be hard a little bit to do that on, the vet minimum if that's kind of what you're aiming after. I know he has some other ventures, but, obviously getting that salary from the NBA definitely helps. So, it's just unfortunate. I think the one thing that would cure all, though, is if Jordan Poole goes on Draymond's podcast. I think that would kill it. That would quench all of the animosity, I feel like, from the public image standpoint. All will be cured. They donate whatever money proceeds to charity, things like that. I think something like that could be great. But if that were to happen, I feel like A, that would be great for Draymond, and then B, I think it actually honestly might be good for the Warriors and how the perception of the world and how they view them right now.
Yeah, and I guess on the Draymond point about his contract, there are going to be suitors for sure. There's going to be teams that are, loaded at this point, but have the, cap flexibility to bring on a guy like Draymond. Maybe not a max extension, but you could put up, double-digit millions per year to bring that guy over. And he's talked about Detroit going home. Maybe being a new leader on a new squad. I mean, that's a team that could use some veteran leadership, quote unquote leadership. But in the same sense,
leadership's a punch in the face, apparently.
yeah, Cade Cunningham. No, but it's. I think the other thing I thought was kind of outrageous about all this was like how much they're up in arms about the video being leaked. It's like that has become like the new story to shine the spotlight on for the Golden State Warriors, like the ownership, the coaching, like the players, like, if it wasn't for that video getting leaked, like this wouldn't be a situation. And it's like, no, it's a situation, but somebody is just smart enough to get, paid under the table to release that to the free world. So whoever that person is, like that person's the Dark Knight, but that person will ultimately be, probably hunted down and fired. So we'll find out. But how many people have access to like the video room though? I mean, there can't be more than like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like they've already figured it out. I mean, they're like the most intelligent organization in the entire NBA. Like, I'm pretty sure they can like, I don't know, they have some sort of system like people attendance or security cameras, so they probably know. Yeah, it's just a matter of time before I guess somebody just gets their head chopped up. But if it's true that they got, I mean, there's been was it 2 million? I don't think it was 2 million of it. I think it was just a BS number thrown out there. But I mean, it's like that's like somebody slept with somebody type of money. That's not like, oh, Draymond Green punched somebody that money. No, I think it was like maybe like, I think I read the more reasonable, I think was like $50,000 or $100,000, something like that. But I think the funny quote though, I think was something like, oh, $2 million. That's great. That, probably affords like a month rent in the Bay Area. So yeah, I mean, who knows exactly what or who or what, but yeah, that ought not to be the focus. I feel like that's definitely a deflection tactic for sure. So, but I think Steve Kerr handled it as best as they can, and yeah, we'll see how this unfolds. I think, but yeah, it doesn't look good for Draymond. I think for this season.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think his fate will probably be sealed after this season. Hopefully, I like the Warriors. I like pulling for them. If they can go out with a bang in this last year, that's great. But yeah, I mean, at some point you got to start planning for, the next core, the next dynasty. And I think they're at that point where they have to make some hard decisions. Staying on the topic of violence, not that we love that or anything like that, but it's getting headlines for some reason. And on Monday night, the Raiders dropped a really big one on the road at KC, losing, 30-29 to the Chiefs. Davante Adams was visibly upset after the game, and he was walking off the field, going toward the exits, going toward the players' locker room or whatnot, and you could see a photographer kind of was kind of running over to get a new spot, and just ran into him at some point, and Davante shoved him to the ground from what we saw, and just kept walking to the locker room. After, he fell to the ground, there was reports, I mean, as recently as today, that photographer has filed a lawsuit, misdemeanor assault against Davante Adams for whiplash, mild concussion symptoms, and a headache. I mean, that's pretty serious stuff. I didn't really see that in the video when I first took a look, but, going back, I mean, this is a pretty physical dude, probably moving with some sort of force, and you never know what can happen. You don't know what what was on the ground, whether that was grass or concrete or something else. But, in any case, an issue that's been raised, and we're kind of waiting to see what the NFL is going to do as far as its reaction. But Wayne, what'd you make of this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have some mixed feelings a little bit about this. So, Davante has never been in trouble before. Has always been kind of has like a stoic persona. Kind of like an Andre Johnson type of demeanor to himself. So never been in trouble. Best friends with Derek Carr, who is him and of himself. We can talk about him as a player, but he's kind of like a choir boy to that degree. So that association, it's like, okay, he doesn't seem like a terrible human being or a super aggressive person. He just obviously plays a very violent sport. But he definitely like made some plays that kind of led up to this situation on the field, and it was a frustrating loss and all that. So I get all that, and not to say that justifies pushing a photographer. I think he was in the wrong there. I think if the reports are true that, hey, this person got a concussion and everything, went to the hospital and has all of these medical issues now, then it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, Davante's not necessarily a bad guy or anything like that, but he just got caught in a bad situation and made a wrong judgment call in there. So, and that's on him. And then he's probably going to have to pay some money out of there, do some sort of settlement, in the court of law. So So, I did like all the memes talking about like, oh yeah, if I got shoved by Davante in that situation, if I'm the photographer, I'm walking around with a neck brace for the next month or something like that, right? So, but hey, this is America. That's what it's all about. If you get shoved or whatever, and I got a backache here now, it's it's all about suing and all that, and getting that cheddar and going on a nice vacation afterwards, especially with all this inflation talk and all. So, it's just unfortunate, I think, all around. But to say that like Davante is like this terrible human being for doing that, like that's a hard thing to say, at least in my opinion. But yeah, he definitely did not handle the situation properly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess going back to the end of the game, you could kind of see, his call getting reversed. He made a really nice catch where it looked like, very, very close to having 2 feet in bounds. And that would have been, probably the game clincher at that point. I mean, all they really needed was to get into field goal range for Daniel Carlson, who's a pretty good kicker, and that had been it. But it's also more than that. He left the Packers, which is like a perennial playoff team, left a great situation as far as being on the field goes. Going back with his college teammate, David Carr, is a really good friend, and they're off to a 1-4 start. And, you could just see how pissed he was. He threw his helmet on the sideline after that catch was, that call was reversed and they lost the game. So obviously he wasn't in the right state of mind, number one. I think, like you were saying, I don't think the intent was there. He didn't intentionally, walk in a situation looking for somebody to push onto the ground. It wasn't like that was like calculated by any means. It just kind of was like the spur of the moment thing where, unfortunately it happened. And I think the biggest thing for me is like, I guess watching it back through is Davante just kind of keeps walking. And it's kind of like that carelessness that I think really would make me upset if, number one, I was the guy who got pushed to the ground. But I also like watching it as a spectator. I was like, oh man, that's pretty cold. Like, I understand if somebody like walks in front of you and like you're pissed off or whatever, like, personally, I wouldn't push anybody out of my way. Like, that's just not, I don't see a situation where I'm like, hey, I'm going to push you out of my way. And it kind of felt like an exertion of power in a lot of ways. Like, hey, I'm this big bad receiver and, I make millions of dollars and you're nothing. So I'm going to, dispose of you as, as quickly as I can so I can get back to my locker room and stuff. So there is that element to it where I kind of like dissecting the actual issue. There's things that, kind of, go through my head when I watch that situation out. But, exactly like you're saying. I mean, if this guy's not really hurt, I would hate to see Davante get slapped like an actual misdemeanor assault. I mean, that's pretty heavy. For what maybe this was all about. But I also look at the other side and I say, what if you were that guy? What if you were the guy who got pushed to the ground on live TV and they're doing nothing but replaying that back thousands and thousands of times? It's in articles, it's everywhere. Your friends know about it now. Your family knows about it. All your coworkers know about it. I mean, that's going to follow that guy for a while. You're the guy who got pushed by Davante Adams in his own personal life. So I'd be pissed off. I'd want to, seek anything to repair, the damage that it caused and make sure it never happens to anybody else on the sidelines. I think he was just trying to do his job and he was he got, put in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I think Davante's a good person. I don't think he ever meant to do it. He apologized right afterwards. It seems like he did it all over the place. I don't know if he ever said anything to the guy himself, but it's hard, man. Like you said, I think overall Dennis Rodman got a couple of games for kicking, a side photographer back in the Bulls, second three-peat. I think a game was probably, necessary at this point, or, we'll have to see. But I didn't like the situation, but I don't think he deserves to carry any sort of offenses on a criminal record or anything like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I definitely get it's like this whole power dynamics. Like, he is the athlete. He's the one with the money. He gets all the attention. And then this photographer just kind of came almost out of nowhere. He was kind of like running to do something or get something or something. I don't know exactly, but yeah, definitely walked in front of him and all that. But then shoving him, that's not good, man. So and then it's like, I definitely think that Davante deserves some sort of punishment of some sort, whether fine or suspension or something, I guess. Sure, I don't know what the the going rate is for hitting photographers in that sense. I definitely think it's like sometimes with athletes, like was it the TV show The Boys, right? I don't know if you ever watched that, but there was like that one scene or one part of the TV series where it's like the really fast athlete, I forget his name, but like runs over a spouse of one of the characters there and just kills them, like obliterates them into like a bloody pulp, right? And then it's like their hands are just showing. It's like he's like holding her hands, and then she's like not there anymore. So like kind of like very, very violent and gutsy and all that. Anyway, I think the idea was that was like, oh, he just like walked up to him later. Like I think they offered him like a couple of like tens of thousands of dollars, and then he just like walked up there and said sorry or something like that, like afterwards, and that was it. It's like, okay, that's great and all, but you just ruined this person's life in a way. Who knows exactly? Again, not a medical expert, not in that situation, but who knows that what happens to this photographer, how the thing landed, did he get a concussion? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and I'm just reading what I guess we're seeing reported, I guess, in the news there. But it's obviously like there has to be some sort of retribution. I think that goes towards Davante, and then also to the photographer of the situation. So
yeah, I mean, I'm reading that it could come with a up to 6 months in jail sentence if he was actually charged with this. I mean, I feel like that's a little stiff. Obviously, I mean, I don't think any jail time is warranted in this situation, but in the same sense, it's like it's how serious this stuff is. I mean, you just can't put hands on people, and I'm not for like violence. I don't think you should get like any get off the hook in any sort of way that's beneficial to Davante. I mean, he should face some sort of consequence that's actually a bit painful for him. But yeah, in any sense, I hope the photographer freelancer got pushed can get better through the situation, whether it's physically or, I think more or less it's emotionally, mentally, something like that. But yeah, we'll have to see. But in any case, just a crazy incident at the end of a very good game.
Yeah, and I hope he like sincerely reaches out to him, like have his people or talk to his people or the photographer. Like if he's a photographer for the NFL, for the Chiefs or whoever, it's like there's got to be a way for him to get in contact with the photographer directly, right? And hopefully there is some sort of like amends for both their sake. I feel like so. Yeah,
for sure. Before we move on, there is one tweet that I wanted to read to you. That actually came from Robert Griffin III about Draymond and Davante. I want to get your reaction here, but he goes, Davante Adams pushing someone down and Draymond punching his teammate were wrong. But let's focus our attention on Brett Favre and the evil of stealing millions from the poorest people in our country in Mississippi. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I know there's been this conversation about Brett Favre too. It's like, how come he's getting a pass or isn't getting as much coverage, I guess, as some of these other people? It's like, well, I don't know. I can think of a couple of reasons why in a way. It's Brett Favre. Like even John Manley loved him and everything. So yeah, I think it is crazy that these stuff that it's not as sexy, I think, is the key thing. Like it's hard to tangibly think about economics. Like it's one of those classes you take in college or whatever. It's like, okay, whatever, that this has no effect in my life, but it actually does in terms of your overall well-being, your health too, like your socioeconomical status, all that has an effect on your everyday life and how long you live, how well you live, what kind of schools your kids go to, all that. So it doesn't get the catchy headlines as crazy, even during this whole, economic times where everybody hates rich people, right? Hey, that's fair game sometimes. It just doesn't get as many headlines, I think, in the NFL world, just because, it's not as cool as like a violent punch or, to a photographer, and not as memeable, I think, is the key thing in that sense. I mean, there's actually some pretty good economic means there, but I do agree with Robert Griffin III there. Things like I even saw like some photographers actually almost kind of come to the defense to Davante Adams in a way, which I'm like, really? Okay, I guess. But, it's things like economics and him trying to steal from, like rich people and or from poor people in Mississippi. It's like, what are you doing? Like just for like volleyball? Like, is it really worth it? Are you thinking about the big picture? I almost feel like it's the whole, was it Lori Loughlin type of thing, right? It's just, like, you guys got have anything better to do, or how about just give money directly towards the families a little bit, support the community better. So I mean,
this is a clear white versus black type portrayal in the media. I mean, not to defend Davante, Draymond for their separate incidents, but in the same sense, it's like, yeah, Brett Favre just gets completely swept under the rug because, like you said, it's Brett Favre. And, stealing money from a welfare fund in Mississippi, which is already the poorest the poorest state in this country. And there's a long litany of, program funds that were brought down from federal levels to the state that have never been dispersed to, their overwhelmingly Black communities. And for this guy to kind of stick his hands in there with others to kind of pull from like a food assistance fund and other, means that, provide people like the bare minimum in that state, all for what you're saying, like funding a volleyball court, speaking appearances that he never made, the time to go to. And there was, another professional wrestler who was also involved in this as well, getting, paid under the table. I think he got a couple million out of it, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, at some point it's like, I think people get to this level of success and level of fame in their lives. And it just like completely drives them to do whatever they think they can do. And they just know they'll get away with it. And yeah, it sucks that, ESPN hasn't picked this one up. I don't really know why, it hasn't been, trumpeted on every single week since it came out. And, we'll see where this all goes. And maybe we do our own separate segment on this, but same sense, I just wanted to bring that out because of, just seeing it. And, glad that RG3 actually said something in his own platform. And it just sucks, man.
Yeah. I mean, I what I think needs to happen is Brett Favre needs to punch somebody in order for anybody to care, apparently. So I don't know. Something needs to be done about that. But, it is nice that it is getting some, but it's like, yeah, compared to this onslaught media coverage of, Draymond and Davante, it's like, come on, man. Like, okay, we know that these are incidents that happen. They happen pretty frequently. It's you're playing aggressive games and everything. So I get it. Is it cool? Is it, are we justifying it? No, but should we also at the same time be justifying anything that Brett Favre is doing? And what his actions are doing is impacting not just like, one or two people. It's impacting, potentially hundreds or thousands of people and everything, right? So it's like there's got to be some sense of impact in how the actions of an individual with a platform and economic means. What are they doing with it? If they're spitting on the downtrodden, trying to get volleyball courts up for their their offspring. Okay, great. Is that what you're doing with your platform? Versus things that Draymond's been doing with his charity work, with his giving back to the community. Davante, the same thing too. It's kind of like how a lot of sometimes people treat Marshawn Lynch, right? Marshawn, sometimes he can be very, not friendly to the media as much, right? Sure, he does the cutesy things like with Skittles or whatever, but every Thanksgiving, at least to my knowledge, like he would always go back to his neighborhood and give out turkeys. And I think he even invited like Richard Sherman to do that, and he did. So it's like that's it doesn't get always the limelight because I think we're in a very reactionary culture where we just gravitate towards people punching each other in locker rooms or in the courts for practice and stuff like that. But we don't care as much about economical means and helping each other out because I feel like we're all just trying to get each other in some sort of rat race, right? So that's I think my opinion on that. It's like I think we need to do better, but I feel like it's because we don't think ourselves is better as much. I think we gravitate towards the rat race, and that's all. So yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not like fueled by violence, greed, sex, in a lot of ways, it just doesn't sell, and it sucks, man. But overall, just we'll see where this goes with all parties. Favre included. I'd love to see how this turns out. I know he's been quoted as pointing to this being fake news, which is always a great approach. I mean, it worked for somebody used to be in high power in this country, so it's just like go figure. But I'll leave that one be. I guess sticking on football as a theme, we can now move into our reaction to Week 5. We had been originally passing and grassing on all games. I think we're going to change up the format just a little bit this week. Wayne, if you want to kick it off with one of your top 5 takeaways, we'll each share 5 things that we saw, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think I'll do one and I'll pass it off to you. But Yeah, I think one of mine is JETS, Jets. I love the way that they're playing right now. Zach Wilson, he's kind of playing like, not really making mistakes, not really. He's kind of going that game manager role at the moment. I know he was injured kind of beginning of the season where Joe Flacco was like throwing like 50 attempts in a game per game and all that. Now they're kind of like, all right, maybe we got to be running the ball a little bit. So, they're getting the running backs involved, Breece Hall, Michael Carter. Defense is stepping up. Sauce Gardner is looking like, rookie of the year type of candidate, which I think I predicted. So, yay me. He's got some heavy competition, I think, with Woolen playing really balling out over in Seattle. And then all the defensive ends. And then, Devin Lloyd, too, for the Jaguars. Like, Jaguars defense is looking really good right now. So, but yeah, loving what I'm seeing from the Jets. Kind of looking at their schedule going forth, they have some kind of winnable games. They're going against the NFC North, where our Chicago Bears are at. I know they're playing against the Chicago Bears as well, but it's definitely one of the weaker divisions. So I think in terms of strength of schedule, they have some pretty winnable games. They are going against the Jaguars, who seem to turn over the ball a ton in any given stance, even though they have a pretty decent defense. But yeah, it seems like they have a bunch of winnable games there. And then, the Seahawks too. And then the Dolphins again. I think the Bills is definitely going to be a hard one. Patriots a couple of times as well. But yeah, I think potentially that they could finish second in that division, to the Bills there. So, if that's the way that they go out the season, I think that's a really solid season going forth, given, the draft capital that they spent on for this year, the draft picks with Wilson, with Devin Lloyd and everything. So I think it's a great way to set them up for the future. Hopefully everything works out with Zach Wilson for their sake. But he looked pretty good last game, and it looked pretty decent this game. Obviously, still kind of has some kinks to work out there, but overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Jets.
Yeah, I'm slightly bullish on the Jets. I mean, I say that in terms of like I don't think they're a playoff team in my estimation, but in the same sense, I think they're making the positive strides you need to take in this kind of year to bridge yourself to a 500 plus season next year, and they've got a lot of interesting pieces in place. Like that backfield is super exciting. I think Breece Hall was like just south of like 200 yards in the game. Zach Wilson's not having to do seemingly all that much with, just these weapons kind of stepping out, but he's got Corey Davis. He's got, Elijah Moore. He's also got
Wilson, Garrett Wilson. Yeah.
There you go. It's exciting. I mean, everything there. And then like you were saying on the defensive side too, and I think Robert Saleh is better than what they showed out last year. I think he, did a great job with the 49ers and not only being like a great tactical guy, but I think he was just a quality leader while he was there. And be nice to see him get off to, a decent start here and kind of, keep a job for the time being. But I think the Jets, are a team to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get some level of continuity with Sully there, it's like great, so a coach that doesn't get kicked out after like 3 years minimum, right? So, I think some continuity there, and then hopefully, with Zach Wilson, if he can make some strides there, he's shown some progression, so I'm liking what I'm seeing there. But they can take it to the next level. This is definitely going to be an exciting team, I think, to watch, this year and then to next. So, would love to hear your first takeaway.
Mine was Russ Wilson, the Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett, and just utter confusion, disappointment, just nothingness. It's really strange. I just kind of seeing Wilson take steps back in this sense. At this point in his career, he's not over the hill in my estimation by any means. I didn't think that coming into the season, but with every game that passes, especially under Hackett's watch, it's starting to get pretty pathetic, and just seeing how that game was going, it was one of the most boring Thursday night games I think anybody's ever watched. Slow moving. Neither team could find the end zone. It was, basically trading field goals for the majority of the game, but you get down within like 3 minutes and you got a bunny of a field goal that you can make just based on how the game was being played out, that situation. I mean, for the game to kind of be, knotted up at that point, or I think maybe the Broncos were up by 3 at the point. Maybe it might have been 9-6 at that stage in the game, but to just kind of like just not take the easy points right there, right then when your team is just obviously struggling for 3 quarters. It's like, and I just watched another game where I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And like every game, it's like, dude, what are you doing? And it's just my takeaway. It's this. I'd be surprised if he lasts in that job for the remainder of this season. I mean, with where things are heading and how embarrassing this must be for new ownership and, just Denver as a fan base. I mean, people are leaving after regulation, not even to stay for the overtime. I mean, like if my team just got Russell Wilson after Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, all these other guys, like the years of Kyle Orton and Tim Tebow and stuff, like, man, I just don't, it's hard to put into words, really. I mean, for some reason, like he seems to be married to Cortland Sutton. It seems to be like the only player he trusts on that entire team. And, we saw the frustration from KJ Hamler at the end for kind of being wide open on a slant. And I know that probably wasn't his first read, but it's just another thing. And it's like, I don't want to make a definitive statement right now on Russell Wilson the rest of his time at the Broncos of the season, but like it is now or never, like starting this week.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things there. It's like, the comparison too with like what's happening with Geno Smith just balling out in Seattle and everything, and then also Richard Sherman. Oh man, looks like he was like reliving some PTSD over there in that broadcast. He was like, oh man, run the ball, and everything there, and everybody felt it. Everybody knew what he was talking about there. You definitely saw that. It's like, man, for whatever reason, like Russell Wilson and goal lines, like offense, like does not exist. It's pretty bad. So, like, just run the ball. And I think he audibled out of it actually. So it's like that was his call, and that he just did not make the right read there. Had Hamler wide open. I definitely think it was towards like Sutton, but it was like, wait, they were kind of like doing a crossing slant routes right there, and it's like you're gonna go against Gilmore too, right? Like, he was just killing him. That's who he threw the interception to, in the preceding drive, I believe, too, right? So it's like, why are you going after their best player? Like, yeah, great, Sutton's like your best player, but we have like other weapons out there. Like to your point, why are you always forcing the ball towards maybe where the defense is playing a little bit harder? So make life a little bit easier, man. It's just unfortunate, I think. For the Broncos, because that's like a really good defense. That defense is playing remarkable, and it's unfortunate that they can't just get like a touchdown or two here to help supplement that defense. So if I am the Broncos defensive players, like I'm kind of like having that sentiment that Richard Sherman is feeling right now, in the Legion of Boom. It's like, wait, he's getting all the credit, but we're doing all the work. I don't get it, right? So
Gotcha. What's your next one?
Yeah, let's see. My next one. I think for me, well, going on Geno Smith, he's leading the number one offense right now for the Seahawks. So, like you were saying, I was like, wait, didn't they just give like was it first rounders or something like that for Russell Wilson, some players there too? And it's like, for what? It's like if Russell Wilson can't do things like what DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, like taking them to the playoffs and stuff, then they have their own issues. Obviously, their defense sucks. It's like one of the worst. And, as good of an offense that Geno Smith is leading, their defense just isn't up to par at all there. So, some changes, obviously, they lost some talent in the offseason. So they're obviously just going to have to reload. But, if I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, it's like, okay, it's great that we got one part of the ball settled. Now let's focus on the defensive end, go heading into next year. I think that's definitely a much more optimistic look than say like, oh, we're going through Russell Wilson's issues right now here, and we don't have and they're going to have some of that draft capital too that that the Broncos gave away. So it's like if I'm a Seahawks fan long term, I'm like I'm feeling pretty good, or okay right now. Obviously, the season isn't going as maybe the ideal as you'd like to go, with the talent that you do have. They're only getting a little bit older here. But I think overall looking pretty good for the Seahawks in terms of the next couple of years going forth. And if they don't have faith in Geno Smith, maybe he takes a step back in the second half. A lot of great quarterbacks coming in this draft class too. So very optimistic about all that.
Yeah, not a bad consolation prize for losing your franchise quarterback and everybody thinking it is going to be gloom and doom like me. Thinking Geno Smith and Drew Lock are going to be your two options. Like we had Mayfield talk going on, just trying to get somebody over to Seattle to fill a job. But Geno's definitely stepped out. He's played extremely well. I think he's like a top 5 rated quarterback right now for fantasy purposes. I mean, that's incredible. Still, not really sure where the year will end up, but that division is completely winnable at this point. I mean, they're only a game behind, and we'll just kind of see where the rest of the season plays out for Seattle. But you got to give them some respect. I mean, they're looking like a team that can compete. Seems like Carroll's got them rallied around each other to kind of keep going after it. So defense needs work for sure, but in the same sense, like this is a pretty decent start for a team I think everybody gave up on it at the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'll definitely be watching and seeing where they progress there. But yeah, what is your next takeaway?
Mine's Cowboys up, Rams down. Game 22-10. Cowboys just absolutely put it to them defensively. I mean, Micah Parsons is a man amongst boys. Trayvon Diggs is kind of, just controlling that entire secondary. I just feel like they are, burning and churning out teams left and right on the defensive side of the ball. Probably as good, if not better, than Philadelphia's defense, who's been absolutely stifling. It's really going to make for an interesting Week 6 matchup, in Philly. My whole thoughts that I had kind of with Seattle, I felt like Dallas would be kind of on the downside this year. I just felt like it's another year kind of stringing along Dak Prescott, who's been injury prone. And, I don't trust in him as a leader. I don't know if Dak Prescott's the guy who can, lead him past, the first round of a playoff. I just don't know because I haven't seen it. So I try not to put too much stock into him as a franchise quarterback. But, Cooper Rush has stepped in and has kind of made plays and has kind of kept it easy. And, he's just doing what he can do, and he's not, trying to be anything that he's not. He's not turning the ball over. So, they're winning ball games behind the defense. They've got a couple running backs who can get the job done. CeeDee Lamb is there. It's just kind of crazy to sit here and be like, okay, the Cowboys are 4-1 without Dak Prescott, number one. The other side of the ball, we talked about the Rams. It's just like, this has got to be it. I mean, Stafford is looking pretty bad. Again, not sure if it's arm trouble, but they just look like a one-trick pony. It's Cooper Kupp or nothing. And I think they're done. I mean, if they have a 500 record this year, I'd tip my cap to them. But in the same sense, I'm like, that's probably their upside because they just look kind of lost out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Rams, it's looking pretty good now for them to be getting Odell Beckham Jr., right? I think that's been the one thing now. So, if they can get him on there, maybe I kind of feel bad about Allen Robinson, but it's like, I don't know if this was like planned from Matthew Stafford. Like, no, I want Odell. I don't want Allen because, I've always said it always seems like Matthew Stafford, when he likes a receiver, he loves a receiver. He just wants to do nothing but throw at that receiver. So whether it's Kupp, whether it's Calvin Johnson, hey, great wide receivers in their own right, but it's like you need a little bit of balance, I think, to go forth and make some especially against good teams, because good teams, they're gonna figure that out and then they're gonna try to take that away from you essentially, right? So it just hasn't been a good year for Matthew Stafford, and if they can get Odell Beckham, or if they can shore up the run game a little bit more and run the ball a little bit more efficiently. And I know they've kind of tried, but they just haven't been able to get a successful game in the run game. But, if one of those running backs back in the backfield can actually get things going, that definitely puts a lot less pressure, I think, on Stafford going forth. But Odell Beckham Jr., it sounds like he's going to be joining sometime, which I think makes sense. He was at the ring ceremony, so might as well see if they can help him get another ring. But right now it's kind of a far-fetched thing. And to your point, I think about the Cowboys, I think that was actually one of my takeaways there. Get the ball to Pollard more. I feel like he averages 5.6 yards per carry compared to Ezekiel Elliott's 3.8 or something. And it's something's up there. And Pollard's a better receiving running back too. So it's like, hey, I really liked Elliott and all that, but then right now it's like Pollard just, I mean, he had that like 50+ yard run too to get a touchdown. It's like he's just a lot more explosive. It's nice to get have that balance, but I feel like if it's gonna be like 60-40 one way, it's got to be, in my opinion, 60 towards Pollard a little bit more and 40 towards Ezekiel Elliott going forth. But yeah, Zach Prescott, his contract isn't looking as good as it was, even maybe before. Not that it was looking great before, but it definitely seems like the Cowboys. It always seems like they've always had a great team, and then Prescott's kind of ridden their coattails here and there. But now more than ever, it's kind of prevalent. Like he's losing a lot of that leverage, I think, with the team. Seeing that Cooper Rush, yeah, you can have a formidable quarterback in there and win games. So. Yeah, it's looking not as good there, but that defense though is carrying a lot of things, and Micah Parsons, I think we both picked as Defensive Player of the Year, starting kind of living up to it, I think, this season.
Yeah, when I think about Prescott and Elliott versus Rush and Pollard, it just brings me back to the Gilbert Arenas quote from a few weeks ago. It's just like here I was balling out at practice, putting away all these starters and stuff. And I asked, why wasn't I playing? And they're like, well, you make hundreds of thousands and these guys make tens of millions. And it's like, I feel like that's ultimately the answer. It's like the only reason why you'd probably go back to both of those players to, carry the load is because they're carrying the bag. And it's like, it's unfortunate. But like you're saying, there could be some tensions as the year goes on. If Prescott resumes the job, starts to struggle, especially if he's not fully healthy. Cause I don't know of that injury was supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks, and like they're definitely coming up short there to get him back on the field. And I might just let that hand heal for a while, and just like that might keep everybody at ease too, like just chemistry wise.
Yeah, I'm sure they're like, hey, take icy hot or whatever, just like chillax, go on a nice stroll or whatever, eat some barbecue. Cooper's got it. It's okay. But hey, I think out of all these things, like one learning is Kellen Moore's doing an excellent job, I think, just managing that offense, like kind of like the Andy Reid in a way. It's like anybody can be the quarterback and they can still put up some points and manage the game there. Obviously, it definitely helps to have a world-class defense, but you still got to do things on the offensive side. Not turn over the ball over, make solid play calls. To take advantage of the defense where you can. Certainly see that with Dable and what he's doing in the Giants, like not trying to do too much, I think, with his offense, but at the same time, positioning themselves for success. That's kind of one of the reasons why, they've succeeded, this season's solid defense, and then managing the game on the offensive side, just moving the ball, getting first downs, and, not turning the ball over. So yeah, they're doing a pretty good job there. And yeah, the Cowboys too. I mean, how about that? Like the Cowboys and Giants, who would have thought that they would be where they are right now. So
Definitely. You got another one?
I will go with I'll go back to my Rookie of the Year pick, Chris Olave. I think I'm seeing like he in draft wise, like he was like the best drafted player if you drafted him in the later rounds, right? Which I think most drafts had him going. Now he's like, I think like top 15 wide receiver essentially. And it's like, yeah, I saw it. This kid is talented. I see like the little bit of that Justin Jefferson type of vibe, like can run all the routes, explosive, all that. And then he's even getting Andy Dalton throwing to him, who respectable career and everything, but definitely not like the Peyton Manning-esque or whatever to elevate the wide receivers. So you see that he's contributing towards the New Orleans Saints offense, both when Winston's playing and Dalton's playing. It'll be interesting what happens when Michael Thompson comes back and how they integrate him. Maybe he actually gets more open since right now it seems like they're kind of putting coverages a little bit more towards his side of the ball, or his side of the field. So it's like, hey, maybe this could potentially help him going forth. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Olave. I think he'll win Rookie of the Year. But we'll see with Breece Hall's definitely having a respectable year with the Jets going forth. But I'm really loving my pick right now for that. I did draft him in my fantasy draft, or one of my other fantasy drafts too. So good I did on that too. So yeah.
Yeah, Olave is definitely breaking out here early on and making good on the the trade that the Saints made to acquire him at the draft. So good on Chris Olave and good on you for making that pick for offensive rookie of the year, or rookie of the year. But Jameis Winston at the helm is the thing that scares me about the Saints team and about their upside, because he's 29th in the league in QBR. Starting off with 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's just like another year of Jameis Winston. And that interception thing has always been, just a Achilles heel of his. And I don't think that'll ever go away at this point. I mean, he's got to be, up in his, later 20s, early 30s. I mean, 28 years old. I'd like to say there's some hope, but he kind of feels like just a backup quarterback in the league, like a good one at that. But yeah, man. Taysom Hill looks pretty good at quarterback. I mean, he looks pretty good at tight end. He looks pretty good at running back too. It's just like, I think this like piecemeal kind of, making sure the whole puzzle works offense the Saints have been going on since Breeze got a little bit of, older, kind of left, Saints behind in his 40s. It's like they're going to have to turn to the next page. And I think Kenny Pickett was a guy that was on their, draft list. And I think a lot of analysts were, thinking they'd go that route and they didn't. But I think until they get a new quarterback, we can expect a team that like kind of dances around 500, but I don't know if it's like a team we can get really excited about despite, what's been a good defense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I wonder if New Orleans, I wonder if they're like, hey, Michael Thompson, whoever, like take it easy. If you get a little bit hurt or cough or whatever, take a day off. Let's get some draft capital in there. Let's get some, let's get Chris Olave's little teammate over there in Ohio State, CJ Stroud in here, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing is that a lot of people were passing on quarterbacks this past draft just because, there wasn't necessarily like world-changing talent. I know Pickett was the number 1 pick, but he's got small hands. So, but then the rest of the quarterbacks, I think for this coming draft here, it's one of the stronger, I think, quarterback drafts in several years, right? Probably going actually back probably more so to Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence a few years back, but kind of that similar class, with was it Caleb Williams too and everything. And so it's going to be a strong draft class, I think, for quarterback this year. So, the good teams, the smart teams, I feel like are holding out a little bit on there. And if one of those quarterbacks can go to New Orleans, that is going to be a good squad. Maybe not the first year, but year 2, year 3. With either a Dalton to kind of hold over, do a hold over year, or maybe a Winston. I feel like that could be a great a team going forth. With Olave and that defense still, kind of in the prime, but still somewhat young. So if they can, gut it out for a couple of years, that'll be definitely, I think, a scary team going forth.
Definitely. I think I'm up next on this on the takeaway segment here. I'm going to go with Matt Rule getting fired after starting off 1-4. He's got an 11-27 career record in the NFL with the Panthers. Came in with a lot of fanfare coming from Baylor, Temple, running offenses, won a Big 12 championship, had been in the, college game for a long time, even in the NFL game as an assistant. And he completely wet the bed. And I feel like, he had from the start the ability to kind of design his own team, design his own path. And, I feel like they did go pretty defense heavy in some of the drafts where Rule started off, and he had the ability to acquire 2 different quarterbacks, one Sam Darnold and the other Baker Mayfield, and everything just didn't end up the way that, he ever envisioned. And, CMC did get injured, a couple seasons straight there. And, definitely is going to hurt a team that, relies so much on, him as a backfield rusher, somebody who can be a dynamic pass catcher, kind of be the whole offense. Honestly, like that guy's an incredible talent when healthy. But it's just gotten bad, man. DJ Moore, like not being targeted. I think a lot of people, if you own him for fantasy, people are dropping him at this point. I mean, DJ Moore, that's a guy that like talent alone, we'd say top 15, top 10, easy. So to just not get that guy involved, a guy like Robbie Anderson too has some talent. If he's targeted, it's just bad. And then, on the other hand, it's like Mayfield is now out for, I think it's like 4 to 6 weeks. So he'll be kind of licking his wounds in this whole process. And they're going to go, straight with interim head coach Steve Wilkes, who got preemptively, I thought, fired from the Cardinals after only one season. So excited to see what he can do. And then, bringing back PJ Walker as quarterback, like another fun guy who I think we all kind of root for, just like a veteran journeyman who's been, in multiple leagues and is like keeping his career going with the Panthers. But he did have one quote. He said, just going to look to target some of these weapons. It's kind of like I think that everything that people were talking about Mayfield is just like knocking the ball to his prime guys. He's like, I'll make sure to get him to the weapons and stuff. So it's like kind of fun in light of everything else that's going on. But what'd you make of this firing and just the Panthers overall?
Yeah, it was kind of inevitable. It's definitely one of those I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I feel like it's like a little bit harder for college coaches to join the NFL and succeed. It seems like it's far and few in between these days a little bit. Urban Meyer, sure, we could definitely go that route, but it always seems like there's a bunch. I know Cliff Kingsbury kind of came from there, but he definitely has some credibility, I guess, in the NFL sense. He kind of has that modern day NFL type of schemes there. So, but it's like, yeah, you can't just plug in like a decently successful, like the Bill O'Briens of the world in a way, and you think like, oh, they're just giving the reins. I think is one thing. It's like they gave the reins to a lot of these coaches and didn't get as much feedback from like the GM in that sense. So it's like, is this kind of the owner kind of running things? I feel like if I'm an NFL GM, I'm like, I don't want a college coach anymore. I feel like I'm going to want somebody that knows the systems, knows the differences between the college and the NFL game, and is less about recruiting and much more about the X's and O's, and motivating adults essentially, right? So, just another unsuccessful reign there, and then Steve Wilkes, 1 year, right? Like it's so ridiculous about like, why is it that black coaches only get 1 year and then they get fired? It seems like it's happened several times. But then, you see like, some of these other coaches that like they just smile nicely to the camera or whatever, and all of a sudden they're awarded Jason Garrett, right? Because of the talent around them, and it makes them look good, right? So I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not fair. I don't think so. It is nice that Wilkes gets a second chance. We'll see what he does there. Maybe they do remove the interim tag if he does succeed. So can only wish, I think, the best for them. But yeah, to your point, I know there's a lot of rumors. I think like DJ Moore going to the Bears, maybe like if that happens, I don't know what the cost would be. Maybe like a second or third rounder. I don't know. It feels like the Bears keep losing draft capital or getting some here and there. But yeah, it seems like I know Poles wants to build through the draft. But yeah, just a lot of things I think that just didn't go the Panthers' way in here. But yeah, there's still a lot of talent. And if they can get the quarterback situation solidified a little bit more, I don't know if PJ Walker's the answer, but this team, it'll be unfortunate if Christian McCaffrey doesn't spend like his good years, right, for a winning team.
Yeah, and on CMC, there was actually some rumors that the Bills are interested, and I think that there was talk in the offseason about acquiring CMC, but like, man, if he goes to the Bills and they're healthy, I mean,
game over.
Honestly, man, I just couldn't see a scenario where that team wouldn't win at all. I mean, immediately. I mean, that'd be so scary because they already control the ground game with Josh Allen for the most part, and if he just has somebody on his side who's that shifty and just that dynamic with all the receiving talent that they have and defense to boot, that'd be a lot of fun. So hopefully some fun trades are ahead for the teams. But one point on Wilkes, I thought, just coming, in light of this investigation with the Dolphins, is this idea of putting, a black head coach in the chair in a year that you're, supposedly tanking and, scapegoating them to move on to the coach that you really want. And I think it's messed up. I mean, it's something that was in that lawsuit about, this idea of the Rooney Rule and bringing in, minorities for interviews and then, potentially hiring them. But if your reason for hiring them is just to, kind of scrap the season and, scapegoat them and, move on to, who you really prefer. I mean, it's just nasty. So I really hope he just makes well on this, even if he just, gets the most out of his guys. I mean, I can't imagine the record's going to be amazing, but in the same sense, like if he can just do a job at like inspiring and doing, a great job with the defense, I think, he could find, maybe a head coaching interview somewhere else if it doesn't work out with the Panthers.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, was it the David Coley, right? Got fired too from the Texans. Like, all right, well, we'll put Lovie Smith here, and then we'll see what happens with Lovie Smith now. I feel like, what's this gonna look? It's like a Lovie Smith, like a shut up type of. It's like, yeah, we got another black coach here, so we're not doing anything crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like unfortunate, I think, and it's like. Do you think we're just blind? Like we don't see this shit? Like, come on. It's kind of ridiculous. And then I know I mentioned Jason Garrett. Like, he's there's a reason why he's not coaching at the moment. He's just doing like broadcasting, I think, and he kind of sucks at that too. So it's like, he's just not that good of a coach. I don't think so. I don't think there's a lot better coaches out there. It's ridiculous. The Eric Bieniemys of the world. Even I know there's been kind of speculation like, oh, Eric Bieniemy, it's like he just is kind of riding the coattails of Andy Reid, and but it's like, I don't know, there has to be something that he's doing that he's smart enough to know and see, working with Patrick Mahomes and all that. It's like, okay, maybe he does know something a little bit, or Byron Leftwich with like Tom Brady, but then it's like, we see all these chances that we get from some prep kid or some smart looking NBA kid from whatever NFL team. And then they give him a shot. It's like, how do you compare that with like a Byron Leftwich, right? Who, played quarterback in the NFL, is working with Bruce Arians, one of the, better offensive minds in there. So it's not like he's just going to plug in, whatever person in there just to, talk to people, right? Kind of like, similar situation with Andy Reid. It's like, no, they're going to put their, who do they think is the best person in that seat? Because that's their job, that's their career, So, it's like, why do these people get a shot, but then other people don't get a shot? And how, why is the leash tighter on, black head coaches? It just doesn't make sense to me. So, no.
Yeah, I think Brian Flores was huge for stepping out and risking his entire career, which, we may never see him head coach in the NFL again. And I think a lot of franchise owners are concerned about, him and what he's gone ahead and done, but he's really, carried the flag for other black head coaches or candidates around the league. And, you got to give him a lot of respect for that.
Yeah. And props to like Mike Tomlin too. Like, he asked like Brian Flores, who's coaching for the Steelers right now. But it's like, he asked him, like, are you getting calls? Like, he's trying to help him out with his job search. And it's like, no, he's not getting anything. It's like, all right, I'm just going to make a call here. And like, I think he called like the Roonies, and it's like, hey, I just want to hire Brian Flores. I'm like, all right, sure. Like, that's how hiring ought to be, I feel like, but it just becomes hard. And it's like, the Steelers are a world-class organization. The Rooney Rule, like, was literally kind of made because of, their initiatives. And it's like, they are they have the most, one of the most successful, I guess, black head coaches out there. But, there's a reason why that they're kind of pushing things forth in that sense. So, props to, I think, the Steelers for that, and Mike Tomlin as well. I think my next one, I guess I have to go with the Bears here with Justin Fields and kind of like his progression and all. I think a lot of people said that he was like this is probably the best he's looked. At least in the pocket, had great pocket presence overall, made some plays where he kind of just looked at the pocket was collapsing, but then was able to either get rid of the ball, which I liked. Like oftentimes he just picks up sacks when he kind of doesn't necessarily need to. So I think he showed a little bit better awareness, especially in the second half. First half was, was kind of like a little bit of the same old, but second half, either got rid of the ball or made those quick reads, those quick decisions, which I think that's great play calling as well. So it's, that great combination of play calling and then obviously Justin Fields making the proper reads there. Downside was, Pettis dropped a bunch of balls, which I think a lot of people were fed up on, and then we're kind of calling for, Velus Jones to get more involved there. It was just unfortunate, at the end of the game there, with Smith Marset, fumbling the ball, and then also that touchdown run that was called back from Justin Fields. So overall, yeah, he looked good. I wish he could play more of that second half Justin Fields, obviously, than the first half. But if he's able to continue on this and build on from this game, the Bears are getting N'Keal Harry, who didn't do so well in with the Patriots, but hey, if you look at his college tape, which I mean, if you look at any NFL wide receivers college tape, it's going to be a great highlight reel. But N'Keal Harry definitely looked good coming out, and hopefully it was just just not a good situation for him with the Patriots, and maybe ideally he could be better person or better player for the Bears here. I thought they also got Cole Kmet involved a little bit later than he ought to have. I think they really need to come out the gate, get Cole Kmet involved, get Mooney involved, set the tone a little bit more. Because they definitely struggled at the beginning there. So, but yeah, overall, like what I saw from Justin Fields. A lot of people liked what they saw Justin Fields. I know Trent Dilfer had a lot of praise for him in this game. Yeah, just unfortunate, I guess, with the defense couldn't keep your boy Kirk Cousins off the field there in the first half. But I think going forth, if he can continue the momentum what he established in this game, I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say, and I think I've said it before, is with the team that's actually around Justin Fields right now, just on offense, I like the backfield for the Bears. I think the Montgomery Herbert 1-2 punch is really nice, and then Fields is a good scrambler himself. That'll keep defenses on their toes. But my point, I guess, is it's really hard for me to sit back and assess Justin Fields when he doesn't have legitimate weapons, on the outside. And I think Mooney's nice. I think Kmet has the potential to be a top 10 tight end in the game, but he's not, Kelsey or Andrews' second coming. It's kind of you hear all the criticism and maybe flash forwarding, removing Fields and going for somebody else. It's what are you actually looking for? Because the guys that people would be tanking for are a lot like Justin Fields. So it's I just hope this is the start of confidence building in him, build this guy up, surround him next year if that's where you're going with it, if you really want to be a competitive football team. But got to give the Bears a lot of credit so far at the start of this year. I mean, 2-3, not great, but in the same sense, I feel like they have competed. I mean, these games have been close and more than what I was expecting, to be honest with you. So to kind of do that against Minnesota on the road, I mean, that's a lot to ask for, especially in Fields second year here with again what he's surrounded with. So good step for the Bears. We'll see where this leads for the rest of the year, but I want more confidence, more positivity, I guess, showered over our quarterback.
Yeah, no, for sure. So definitely want to appreciate the positivity there. And yeah, next year we're gonna have $100 million or whatever it is in cap plus a bunch of draft capital. So next year, maybe we're kind of in an Eagles hopefully situation with kind of like Jalen Hurts, right? Year 3, where he's taking it to the next level, but obviously he just needs more weapons, more established veterans on the offensive side. So yeah, if we can do something, get a free agent wide receiver. I don't know what the list is, but somebody that can add a little bit more constant veteran presence towards the locker room and towards Justin Fields. Add in another wide receiver, one of the young studs coming out of the in the first rounds that we're seeing in all the mock drafts. Maybe show up the offensive line a little bit. Then yeah, I think there's a lot of things that can happen on the offensive side. So, but Justin Fields can take the progressions without that talent. That's even I think that just really goes to show I think his character overall, which I think a lot of Bears fans are very much appreciative of. Justin Fields as a person and how he handles himself, and then also what he brings to the table skill set wise. So, yeah. And then with all that, I guess we'd love to hear your next takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on the note of bad quarterback play, good quarterback play, whatever it is, Carson Wentz getting called out by his coach Ron Rivera in Washington after a loss to the Tennessee Titans 21-17 at home. Man, I mean, just kind of get dogged by your coach like that on a pointed question about, what's the difference between you guys and, the other teams in the NFC East. Man, that was such a backhanded move by Rivera and just completely unnecessary, I think, because, mean, at this point, the other quarterbacks he'd be referring to are, Cooper Rush, Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts. I don't know. I mean, Carson Wentz to me, if I had to pick between those four to kind of move forward with, I mean, I'd probably take Jalen Hurts first and then probably Carson Wentz. And it's kind of crazy. He had a higher passer rating than Tannehill in this game. He also had 359 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and an interception. In the year, he's got 10 touchdowns and 6 picks. Not a dream scenario, obviously, but in the same sense, like to kind of just, overlook what's happened maybe on the defensive side of the ball. Just like, how many points or yards, the defense has given up at this point. It's kind of like sheds a lot of the culpability, I think, for Rivera, because that's what his specialty is. And that's what he, probably has the most stake in when it comes to how this team performs. So thought it was a gutless move from a guy who, I think we all consider as having like a lot of class, guy who's like known to like be a good leader, be a smart football guy. Got a lot of respect in Carolina while there, and I think he has also so far in Washington. But Rivera apologized to Wentz after the fact. Kind of took accountability again for what he had said, and again, I'm not excusing Wentz in a lot of these situations. I know he's had some really bad games so far, but like again, like at the end of the day, I just kind of I keep looking back at stats. I keep looking back at numbers and relatively, where is he at in the NFL? And I mean, he's middle of the pack, a little bit maybe south of that too at times. But I just thought it was kind of a weak move.
Yeah, no, it was definitely weak. And I was like, I guess it depends on your outlook on on how you want to go about things. I think it was Peanut Tillman was like, well, he's telling the truth. So I do think that there's a lot bigger issues for the Commanders than quarterback play at the moment. It just does not look good for Ron Rivera in that sense. And I don't know if he was like kind of like desperate for, to kind of figure out a scapegoat in that sense or what, but that's just not where you cross the line, I feel like. And I think Alex Smith actually like brought that out. Is like, it's like, dude, like this is, and he played for Ron Rivera. Is like, I have, kind of like had like all the respect for Ron Rivera, but at the same time, he's like, yeah, you just don't cross that line. And I'm glad he at least apologized to him, but at the same time, it's definitely one of those like, he thought that through. Like usually before a press conference, you're gonna think about what you want to say and all that. Sure, it might be a little bit crazier or whatever, but calling out your quarterback, the leader and face, get quote unquote face of the franchise, but quarterback's definitely going to be a leader in the locker room, and you're kind of calling him out. Like you just don't do like that, things like that, and it's not completely 100% warranted. Like, yeah, sure, there's better quarterbacks out there, but yeah, compared to the Cooper Kupps of the world, or Daniel Jones of the world, like you ought to be winning games. So yeah, I think it's kind of a deflection tactic and kind of unjustified there. And yeah, just like the least classiest move I feel like Ron Rivera's had in his coaching career so far. So, but just not a good look. And yeah, I don't know if this continues. Like, I feel like if he loses the locker room out of this, then when you lose the locker room, it's going to be hard to continue on as a head coach, I feel like. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in a way, I don't know if this has come out in any of the reaction to it, but maybe in a way he was trying to, push Carson. Maybe this is a way to like make him mentally stronger, because I know that's been part of his, MO since kind of leaving Philadelphia and, kind of down the stretch with Indy, just a bad game, in Jacksonville and stuff like that. And, maybe there are things at practice in the locker room that he identifies too with Carson. Maybe he's just not, taking the reins and not being, kind of a guy who can impose his will on his teammates or, whatever else. But again, what happened. Hopefully it's reparable. Because if not, I mean, this season's going to go straight south for Washington immediately.
Yeah, for sure. And especially if the Giants keep winning games and all that, and and the Cowboys. Oh yeah, and also with the Eagles, like they're in a really good division. So part of it is that too, is that they're in a really good division, and a lot of teams they're just getting great play, and the Commanders aren't. And in a way, like who's the reason because of that? I feel like part of it has to do with Rivera in a way, and then. How much is it Wentz? You're saying he's middle of the pack. Like, I think he's like top 10 too in like passing yards too. So it's like, is it really his fault? Like, get the run game going, get better pass protection, or get some more turnovers in defense. Like there's a number of different variables, I feel like. But for me, it's like, get the run game more involved in. Let's talk about Wentz's play a little bit more.
For sure. How about your final takeaway?
Final takeaway here. Man, I guess I underestimated the Colts in a way. I feel like they're coming back, after a sad start. They're making some inroads, right? So I think they bounce back. Obviously, the Denver Broncos aren't exactly playing the best brand of football at the moment, but you know what? The Colts, hey, they're after kind of this like really rocky, kind of start in a way, with the tie to the Texans and getting, shut out by the Jaguars. They did beat the Chiefs, and last game, against the Titans didn't go that well. Hey, look, they beat the Broncos, and now I think they're sitting like 500 with that tie now. So it's like, okay, they're in position. They're in position. So definitely not the sexiest brand of football, but when you're in position and you can elevate yourself a little bit more, then I feel like that's the one way to go for them. So yeah, it's definitely one of those. They're a team that has talent when they're healthy. I think that's been one issue, is that getting fully healthy. Shaq Leonard's been injured for some time, for several games, and that definitely has impeded some of their success, I think. But I think they're coming with this brand of football of like grinding out a little bit more, and if that works for them, I think they ought to just run with it rather than trying to rely too much on Matt Ryan, right? So again, not a sexy takeaway, but I feel like the Colts are kind of coming into their own brand of football. So
Yeah, this is definitely another conversation about like how we view Carson Wentz versus how we view Matt Ryan. Because, honestly, like 7 picks through week 5 with, a handful of fumbles lost and stuff. And maybe that's on the O-line a little bit too, just in terms of his timing. But it's, quarterback rating, passer rating are, at the bottom of the league as well. And I like your point about them being grinders, because you can see that they're a determined team. It's not like, they give up in adversity, or they're, kind of, not pushing back against, some of these forces, or some of the maybe lack of talent that they might have, on that side of the ball, especially without like Jonathan Taylor and, Michael Pittman in one game. So it's like, those are clear needs for the offense, but this team's definitely going to grind it out. I think the AFC South is still hard to put our fingers on. I mean, I feel like with the Tennessee Titans win, and, Colts having a pretty inspiring win on Thursday night, and, Jacksonville was there. It's like, it's anybody's ball game. And luckily I'll be going to the game in Indy next weekend against Jacksonville. So I'll definitely report back there. But we'll be interested to see how the rest of the year plays out for them. I think they could, make a push for the AFC South, but I think that's where it ends for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is your last takeaway too, right?
Yeah, and we've touched on this division and some of the teams in this division, but man, the New York Football Giants are 4-1 to start the year, and man, I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of speechless, like talking about this right now, because it's like, what's to get excited about? I mean, they're winning football games, but it's like I'm still like kind of just puzzled, because you still got Daniel Jones under the helm. You've got a really thin wide receiver core. I mean, Saquon's playing out of his mind, which is what everybody, knows he can do when healthy. It's just, the when healthy part. So, Dable is obviously like rallied these guys up around each other. He's obviously showing that, that investment is probably going to pay off for the Giants in the long run. If, he can stay there for years and years and, continue to kind of spread his influence in that locker room. But, I guess maybe I'll just, give him a huge pat on the back to start off the year. I don't want to go too far past that, because, I've seen teams get off to hot enough starts. I think quote, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the Saints started off, undefeated or something of that sort. I think they're like the last undefeated team, and then kind of ended up with maybe it was just a wild card berth or something like that. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself just yet with that team, especially in that division, the way it's kind of shaping out so far. But just got to give them a little bit of respect here. I mean, through 5 games, 4-1, like cheers to you.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely props to Don Martingale, defensive coordinator. I think they have like the second least amount of points given. I think number one being the Bills so far this season. So that's definitely been one of the reasons why they've succeeded is their defense. And then they're being able to run the ball. I think they've just realized, hey, well, Daniel Jones, you don't have to be like the sexiest passer. You don't have to be someone like it's gonna be like a Josh Allen or whatever. You don't have to be like that. Just run the damn ball. Like when you see the pocket breaking down, or let's do some rollouts. If your first or second read isn't there, just run the ball. Like that's totally fine. So I think they owned it, and it's like in a way, it's like this is kind of like that would be kind of coaching that you would want from for like Trubisky, right? It's like Trubisky, you suck at the pocket, so stop sitting in the pocket and like do some stuff. So. And I think I think that's what Dable has been really good at is he caters to the strengths of the quarterback and the team, and he doesn't try to force the team to go his way. He leans into the team and leans into their strengths. Saquon's having a heck of a year as well, so he's been definitely a contributor in that factor. But then it's like he's making Daniel Jones just make Daniel Jones type of plays, which is run the ball and make an occasional pass with on the run into your wide receivers here and there. So I think that's just been their brand of football and good defense, and it's really showcased. And that's the reason why they only have one loss, and they're sitting second place against the undefeated Eagles, and I think they're definitely going to make a push. So I think a lot of people, I know a lot of Bears fans wanted Dable, and I think I did too, but then. Hey, I am content, I should say, I think, with Eberflus and the job he's doing. But man, Dable, he's definitely, I think, at least right now, front runner for NFL Coach of the Year. Through week 5 and everything. I know we were talking about Mike Daniels, but I feel like after the whole Tua situation, it might not be. He didn't handle that press conference that well. So, but I think right now. Dable and the Giants and the way that they're playing, it's kind of inspiring. So happy to see them succeed.
All right, bold prediction now. Giants final record. What do you think their record's going to be to end this year?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see now. Let's look at the schedule here now. So they got Ravens next. That's right. They're fucked. It's going to be at New York, so I think that'll be interesting. But Ravens, it's hard to beat the Ravens there. With Lamar and everything. So that's one loss. Jaguars, it is in Jacksonville, but
are you gonna go through the whole?
No. I'm not gonna do that. Maybe I'm just eyeing. I'm overthinking it. I see some Lions on there. I see Colts. If they finish maybe 5, I think they could probably finish 500 for the rest of the year. See like the Lions and Seahawks there and Texans as well. So, if they finish 500 for the rest of the year, what's that then? It's like what, another 10 games, I think, or something. So, I think that they could then, make it to the playoffs or finish 10 wins or something like that, right? So, I think it's doable.
All right, I think I'm going to go the under. I think I'm going to say 8 and 9.
Okay.
I want to be optimistic, but then I just got to stay realistic here because I feel like a Saquon Barkley injury is coming. I don't want to wish that. I don't want to wish that on him. Honestly, I hope he's not.
All New York hates you now.
Yeah, probably. But man, I don't know, dude. I just can't see it, man. Daniel Jones is going to do some Daniel Jones stuff. I can already feel it. But anyways, regardless, Dable has had an awesome freshman year here in New York, and I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they get those 10 wins.
Well, they go against your quasi commanders there twice, right? So if they can pull off 2 wins there, with their mediocre quarterback play, apparently, then maybe they can do some damage there. But yeah, I'm thinking 10-7, just the rate that they're going. If they got 4 wins, I think they have 3 winnable games with the Lions. I think I saw the Seahawks and then the Texans. Don't want to say that those are shoo-ins or anything like that, but I feel like those are definitely games that they can win. So that'll bring them to 7, and I think they can at least, maybe split some within the division as well. So at least that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I don't know, it'll be fun. Dilla's did a good job though. So
fair enough. All right. Well, I think that's all for our, complete list, complete rundown. Wayne, do you have any final thoughts?
I don't think I do, but I'm glad we talked about pie, last week and everything. I don't know if there's anything else I can talk about, but maybe there's one. Like, would love to hear. I know Halloween is right around the corner. Would love to hear, what are your favorite Halloween candies that you like?
Oh yeah, man. This one's with some controversy, but my favorite candy, if we're just gonna go standard generic, big company, commercial candy, I'm gonna go Heath Bar is my number one. Wayne, your reaction?
I'm like, is it? Okay. I mean, we all have our quirks and all that. It was funny. It's funny. I mean, like, mine's a little bit odd too. Like, I got made fun of because my favorite one is Baby Ruth, actually. Like,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I get knocked on for that. It's like, what are you, an old man? I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like it.
Well, then, like, what happens when somebody hands you a payday? Like, how does that feel compared to the Baby Ruth?
It's like, this is just like a mediocre Baby Ruth. I feel. I don't know. It's like,
this is a naked Baby Ruth. Like,
yeah. Like, it's missing substance.
Yeah. But then, what happens if somebody hands you a Snickers?
Oh yeah, then I feel like it's like almost excessive in a way. But like, I don't hate Snickers or anything like that. I just feel like, Baby Ruth for me like hits the right amount, of like caramel and like nuts. So yeah.
Is nougat the only thing that's added to the Snickers versus the Baby Ruth?
I think so. Maybe like that. Yeah. And then just like, yeah, probably that. I mean, yeah, because the nuts definitely are thicker, I feel like, for Baby Ruth. So yeah.
And there's caramel in the Baby Ruth, right? There's not peanut butter.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Then I think we have to do like a taste test or something on the set, like kind of try out both candy bars. Like,
yeah,
I think it just has to happen. So, because I mean, people will claim Snickers as like their favorite candy bar. That's like a very, cliche bar to pick, I think, out of some of the choices.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, yeah, it's hard to beat peanuts, chocolate, and like some caramel or something like that. But yeah, I would definitely go to bat for Baby Ruth. No pun intended, out of the name and everything. So
yeah. Well, outside of that, I mean, I feel like the only other ones I'd like give a shout out to on this set are, the Twix bar and, Reese's peanut butter cups are also very good. But yeah, man, there's something about toffee that just clicks with me, man. I just like the texture, I like the taste, like, and I like high scale toffee too. So it's just like my favorite type of candy. And when I drop Heath Bar, man, people just like, they shut down a little bit. And I've actually I've actually been in convenience stores with people and bought them a Heath Bar just to see how they'd feel about it. And yeah, I usually get like, okay, this is okay. But that's probably where it ends.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like we're like doing like therapy with each other of like, we feel different from everybody else. We don't feel accepted or heard. But there's a reason why Heath Bar still exists. There's a reason why Baby Ruth still exists. Somebody's eating it, whether there be 50-year-old males or, they just be us. So yeah, somebody's eating them and keeping them in business. So,
but the Heath Bar, the one other thing I'll say about it is so good in ice cream desserts. Like, I think that's where maybe it also takes a step. It's like, if you're considering dropping M&Ms into like a Blizzard, for example, like, go try the Heath Bar Blizzard real quick and then just come back to me. And if I'm crazy, like, call me crazy and I'll probably just stay that way. But like, yeah, we just got to, try things in life, I think.
Yeah, try things in life, hate it or love it, and carry on. But yeah, what's life without living it on the edge, like with the Heath bar or whatever, So
I like
yeah,
to live dangerously, like
yeah, and for some people, danger is like jumping out of an airplane, right? But maybe for us, it's like eating our favorite candy bar and some what weird flavor of ice cream, just to see what it's like. But yeah, life is short, so go for it.
yeah, man, take risks and never look back.
Yeah,
but
there we go.
But for sure, bookmark this right now. Once we get to Halloween, that pre-episode or after episode, let's both on the set try each other's bars and just give it a genuine take.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure if we do it after if we do it after, I'm pretty sure both our bars will be around anyway. So, because nobody buys that apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it for sure, man.
Fair enough.
Cool.
I guess my final thought, we brought this up a couple times on this show, just, some of these chains that we're trying to do big things in the wing game. And, TGI Fridays finally got out. I finally broke out and went there with a buddy. And, it was 5 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock on the dot. Just wanted to make sure I got a prime seat. That was right when the promotion began. I swear to God, man, I walked into this TGI Fridays and place was kind of empty. It was all red, like everywhere. Everything was red, and like the light was kind of like faint, and it just felt like one of those like 1980s like pool, like billiard halls with like, it didn't have smoke, but like if somebody started smoking cigarettes right next to me, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. Like it would totally fly in a place like that. Like, and I was excited, and I think like how you have that excitement when you have like you're not actually in the moment. And like you kind of build up this excitement, like I'm doing this right now, like this is gonna be kind of interesting. And I think the second I sat down, I got like this mild sinking feeling of regret in my chest, just like, am I really here right now at a TGI Fridays, like trying to do this promotion? So we were talking to the bartender, like nice dude. He was definitely talking NBA basketball with us for a while. My buddy was there, a few minutes before me, so got the combo started with him. But I ordered the wings and, my heart was like, go for 30, man. Cause like, you just got to, but again, like I started feeling like a little self-conscious about everything. I'm like, man, like, what if he judges me or what if like, people look at me or something like, I didn't know what it was, but I was like, I'm going to go easy. I'm gonna go 20 wings right now. Let's go 20. And, you could go, 10 wings of any flavor, whatever else. But like, I just went straight Buffalo, 50 cents a wing. Just went after it. And I tell you, man, that was a pretty depressing experience. I gotta say, I had 20 wings that came out in these two like black cast irons. They're little black cast irons. So they like split 10 wings onto each cast iron. And the waitress was basically like, all right, I got 2 orders here. And she's like, started sliding like to each person. But then I was like, no, those are right here. Those will stay right here. So I got these wings in front of me, man. And I'm telling you right now, they were like if any standard wing, like a Domino's wing, just like, dropped like 15 pounds. I mean, these wings were like thin. They were little. They were like over fried. So they were like, kind of like, I could taste like some of the roughness and burntness in them. Like, it was a bad experience, dude. Like it was pretty bad. Like I actually pounded these wings like quickly, but the 20 actually felt like a 12 piece. And bartender was giving me like a lot of respect for crushing them. And I was like, I could have done the extra 10, but I actually had a baseball game that night. So I was just like, I asked for a check right when my, when it was time to leave, I had to go to my baseball game or whatever. I had 2 draft beers and I had 20 wings. And my bill came over and it was $14.84. And like, I like couldn't believe it. I felt so bad, man. And I like just straight up like matched the bill with the tip for that guy. Cause I was like, you know what? Like, I hope he makes a lot of money tonight because in the same sense, like if people are dropping 20% on him, he's going to make like $3 a person. So, that was kind of my tale. I wouldn't recommend TGI Fridays to anybody listening to this. I don't care if they ever want to do endorsements because I would never endorse something that I don't believe in. And just leaving that experience, I'm kind of like, even though it was $14.84, I kind of felt gypped, and I was like, I really shouldn't feel that way, but man, it's just weird. And the final thing I'll say is like, I had a couple comments with some friends that I also told this about, and I'm like, I remember a time like when we were growing up and stuff that like these sit down chains like had much higher standards. Like, I know I'm like probably asking for way too much on like a 50-cent wing night, but I was like, I left that experience like kind of depressed for that meal, like the people that have to work there, and then like myself for actually going in there. So like, I just don't recommend you do it unless you fully vetted that chain or that fast casual, that fast food restaurant or whatever.
What did you have for lunch? I want to ask.
Yeah, I didn't. I took it easy for lunch, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had a solid breakfast. I remember. I think I had I had a workout that morning, so I had like a peanut butter sandwich. What's the name? A Cliff Bar. And then I had like a very easy lunch, like maybe a couple eggs or something like that. That was pretty much it.
Okay. So you came in you're like, all right, I'm gonna do some damage here. I'm gonna play a game and everything afterwards, but at the same time, like I came here to do some damage, but the wings didn't have that flavor of like, oh, I want more. I want the full 30. You're like, I'm satisfied with the 20 with the experience that I had there. And in the end, it's not worth to pursue more out of this for that. So
exactly. I think like if I didn't have baseball and I really wanted to like prove a point, like I could have ordered those final 10 wings or something and maybe put those down. And if somebody like double dared me to go 10 more, like I might have tried. But I'm just saying like, yeah, I got done with that and I just felt like I'm good, but in the same sense, I'm not very good because those weren't very good wings and that whole experience is kind of weird. And I just want to get out of here.
Well, is Applebee's still doing that promotion? Because if they were, then this would be the good opportunity for like either me or you to go there, and we can give our opinion. Or we'll have to find some other chain restaurant and do a deal. I feel like in order to figure out.
Well, Wayne, today is your lucky day because I know what that next restaurant is, and actually, Applebee's ended that promotion I think last week or the week before. But man, head on down to Buffalo Wild Wings.
B-dubs. Yeah.
You got options here. Tuesday night is Wing Tuesday. You buy one, get one 50% off wings, just like, our friends at TGI Fridays. But I'm pretty sure that I would do the Buffalo Wild Wings deal like
they aren't called Buffalo Wild Wings for a reason. Because they got, maybe not buffaloes, but they got, chicken wings there. So, yeah.
Then you can go Thursday for BOGO for boneless wings.
Oh yeah, I feel like I remember these deals from my college days. I think they're still in effect. I'm surprised they are, even with the inflation and all. But I'm glad that they're doing so.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they're just trying to, put away the competition once and for all. I mean, they have some other deals that you can get into. There's some wing bundles that they've put together. They may be interesting. The only thing I'll say about BW3s is man, why do they charge so much? Like it's like 35, like I'll leave, like I'll get a takeout order or I'll sit in or whatever, have a beer or two, and it's like, why is my bill $50 for some wings and beers? I just kind of always feel like, man, they like definitely like inflated their prices before inflation was a thing.
Yeah, it's probably I wonder if I know that it's probably because of all the UFC fights that they have and everything. It's like, we just have like a bunch of kids coming here. They're not really paying for the pay-per-view, but they're just going to order like the basic, water and like a sandwich or something like that, or maybe a few wings. And it's like, or maybe it's like all the promotions that they do, or all that they pay, to have like all those events and stuff like that, maybe. But yeah, they are public. I think they got bought out. I think they were publicly traded, but pretty successful company overall though. I am surprised that not more people are going the Wingstop route of. Didn't they change their name to like Thigh Stop or something like that, or like to appease to the chicken thigh market, since chicken thighs were a lot more cost effective than chicken breasts or something like that. But I don't think I've ever had a Wingstop before, so maybe I'll try those people too.
Oh damn! I've had Wingstop a few times, couple times downtown Chicago, but then I actually did the thighs. They had like a fried thigh thing going on, and it was like pretty decently priced, but man, it was pretty good. I mean, I gotta say, like that meat was high quality. It's more of a boneless style, so it's not like, I mean, I like bone-in wings. I don't know what your preference is, but like I thought the thighs were good, and they got like all sorts of sauces. So I was like, okay, it's like a pretty easy deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll have to try those things and then some candy, I think, one of these days for sure.
All right. Well, with that, we'll close out with Wayne. I'm Patrick for the Ball and Breakfast podcast.